Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. We are live right here on Facebook and YouTube every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come hang out with us. If you want to find the video replays, they're available on our YouTube channel. And if you're looking for the audio podcast, those are all available pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts at. So just Google the Nerf Herder Council and you'll find us there. Sorry, we're running a little bit behind, but my internet decided to be a bastard. So we'll see what happens here. Without further ado, let's bring in my esteemed co-host, AJ. What's going on, man? Let's hope we can actually get through a show here.
My Wi-Fi, also a bastard. So,
yes.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but we're here. So, yeah, we stay here. So, in a few minutes.
Really terrifying. I found the full screen option on this feed. When we fire up and your giant melon is like floating in the sea of my entire 27-inch monitor. No one should. You think you got a big head now? Try viewing it on a 4K screen. It's
hellacious. Yeah. Well, rural farm boy.
I saw a melon like that. It won a blue ribbon at the fair.
Nice. Rural farm boy, what's up, man? Good to see you. It's been a while. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
For us.
There you go. This internet's throwing us all for a loop, man. What can we say? So, in a couple minutes, we are actually going to have a special guest host. Steve will not be joining us tonight. At least we have the ability to get internet. Steve doesn't even have that. They tore down the entire pole in his backyard, and he's got wires basically hanging. So he's got maybe 480p, which does not work for StreamYard. So Steve is out, but we do have a special guest coming on in just a few minutes. It's going to be my buddy Cris Macht, who is a Star Wars filmmaker. He's done a number of Star Wars documentaries, The Force Among Us, The Force Within Us. He has his own podcast called Machtails From the Cantina, and you may remember him a few episodes ago. We had him and his buddy Sean on, so he has been on the show previously. It is actually, I believe it's the 15th anniversary of his documentary, The Force Among Us. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, tonight we're going back to school, AJ. You had the idea to actually grade the sequel trilogy on a report card basis. So
we'll see how this goes, man.
Yeah. So
I figure we're always talking about like what's the best trilogy or what's the best movie of the trilogy, and I don't know. My opinion changes. Like, do you have this problem where your favorite Star Wars movie is whatever one you watched last?
Well, I don't know.
Right now, I think Solo is the best movie because I just saw it.
Yeah, and you're hating The Rise of Skywalker. So, so now you had said we're just going to do the sequel trilogy, but you're mentioning Solo. Are we doing Solo and Rogue One and all that, or how are we handling this?
We'll see how this goes. I figure, we'll take off this trilogy and see if it works, and then if people like it, we'll go and do the other trilogies or dive into the movies themselves. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
It's your topic, and you did not come in with a plan.
No, I came in with a plan. The plan was let's do the sequel trilogy first and see if it sucks.
Okay.
Not the sequel trilogy. See if the format sucks.
Okay.
There's a difference.
All right, I could see that. All right, so do you have a list of topics? Like, you had mentioned maybe like acting or story, or are we just going to go through points of the movie, points of the movies? Are we just going to go with the movie, I
mean, it's a report card, and like any report card, you have to have subjects, right? So
that's true.
So yes, I do have criteria here. You almost nailed it in your thumbnail for this, actually. I mean, we can't. Hey. The one thing we're not going to rate is audio because it's all awesome.
Yeah,
you really can't. Right. I mean, what are you going to go for? Like A+, A, and maybe an A++?
Well, cinematography is pretty. That one's pretty much an A++ too, I would say. I think we can.
Plus, we're
all
not
agree
nerdy
on
enough
that.
to get into that. Like, oh, I don't. The way he composed this shot, I don't think he filmed that at the magic hour. So the
Right.
silhouette wasn't as powerful as it could have been.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Hey, our buddy,
Yeah.
our buddy Craig from Canada's chiming in. What's up, Craig? Good
What
to
up,
see you,
Craig?
man. How's it going? So, all right. So, what topics? So what subjects, I should say, since we're in
Okay.
class now. What subjects do you have?
So I've tried to come up with like 4 or 5 that are actually fair to talk about. So acting is definitely one of them.
Okay,
Characters.
I'm
is
gonna
one of
write
them.
these down. I'm gonna write these down for us so we can kind of what's
Yeah.
it called? What's it called? A teach a syllabus? Is that what's
A
the
rubric.
rubric?
A
No.
rubric.
When a teacher has like their lesson plan, isn't it?
Oh,
like,
that's
what's the,
syllabus then. Yes.
okay. All right, so we've got
Grading
acting.
criteria is a rubric.
Okay, so we've got
Can you
acting.
believe I used to teach? Who the hell would trust me with that kind of a job? Anyway.
Well, you're kind of smart. So I mean, who
Yeah.
wouldn't? All right, all right, so we have acting. What's the next one?
Characters.
All right, we'll do
You could
characters.
definitely compare like story arcs and stuff for each of the characters and find out like who got done wrong from movie to movie.
Okay.
Story. Like, did you like the story? Did you like what happened in the movie?
Okay.
And I was thinking, I guess we would call it legacy. Like, what kind of lasting impact did the movie have on the franchise as a whole?
Okay.
So I think that's good stuff right there, right? I mean,
Well,
we
we have
could do
to-
music if you really want to just gush about John Williams, but
I think we have to have overall. You got to give the movie an overall grade.
Okay.
I think that's probably fair. So, in the green room, we've got our buddy Chris. So let's bring him on. What's going on, man? How are you?
How are you guys?
Doing good.
what's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Not too bad. You didn't miss too
Great.
much
Love
because
that hat.
that hat is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's up, Weaver? How's it going, man? Good to see you, buddy. None of you missed much because, as I was about to say, Chris, like my wireless router decided to take a dump like 20 minutes ago, so we were a few minutes late getting started. So,
Okay, I'm
So-
glad I didn't miss much.
so we have not started yet. So, so we'll recap this with you. So, as I told you off air, Chris, we're going to be taking the sequel trilogy back to school, and I know you're a huge fan of the sequel trilogy. So, AJ says that we should have 5 subjects per
Are we
movie,
picking
and
on the slow kid in class? Is that what we're doing here?
Chris is not the biggest sequel trilogy fan. I'm
not a hater. I'm not a hater.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
I was
not
referring to the movies, not to Chris.
Oh. Well, sounded like you were taking a dig, so got to get my buddies back here. So, all right, Chris. So we're gonna have 5 subjects per movie. There'll be acting, characters, story, legacy, like what is the lasting impact, and then an overall grade. So,
Okay. Is
Feel
this
free to
pen
throw in
and
any
paper
wild
kinda-
card topics, by the way. But
yeah.
pen and paper kind of shit, or just organic stuff?
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely organic.
Yeah.
Okay.
the fact
Yeah.
we even had an outline for this show is incredible, right there. We've already done way too much.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah, we the reason we're not grading on music or sound effects is because they're all awesome. So there's no point.
yeah, that's kind of those are kind of a given, I would say.
And you said obviously we are not live right now.
Oh no,
we
we
are.
are live.
Yeah,
We
we're
are
doing it live.
Oh yeah, we're doing it live.
I stepped right into this. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we don't give ourselves any safety nets here. We're far too stupid to do something intelligent like that.
I love how you roll, man. You're not like a podcaster that talks for an hour and a half and you're like, okay, we're gonna start the show.
Yeah. No, we just it's 8:15, like I say, and oh, there we go. All right. So it looks like we're okay so far. Knock on wood. So that's a good thing. All righty. So why don't we get started? Let's jump right in. We'll go right off the bat. Let's go to episode 7, The Force Awakens. Let's start with our guest host. If you had to grade the acting in episode 7, how would you grade it?
I would grade it a B plus.
Okay.
I do feel like the acting from, and I'm going to use character names, from Finn and Rey
Okay.
seemed to be a little too intense at times. And I understand
Okay.
that's part of their character, but I could totally see them taking George Lucas's faster, more intense approach to their acting. So I give it a B because I thought it was solid.
Okay.
But it wasn't perfect by any means.
Okay. AJ, what about you?
See, we're all apologists here, so it's hard to figure out what the baseline is. C is usually average. So I think I could agree with Chris that like B or B plus. It wasn't like amazing, but I mean, Ray, especially like Daisy Ridley, like she was fantastic in it. Like she actually got me to react to like everything, and I bought into her like immediately as a character. So I think she did a really good job. I feel like Kylo Ren, Adam Driver was still figuring out like how to play that because it was so weird. Like, how do you the character's over the top, but like how do you do good over the top versus cheeseball over the top?
Yeah.
Cheeseball over the top, by the way, that's General Hux. So that's I almost
AJ's
give that guy credit for owning up to that because holy crap.
AJ's favorite, General Hux.
Oh, come on, yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to say B or B plus because it seems like in a couple times they really weren't sure how to play the scene, but overall, like, it wasn't ever transparent. It didn't pull me out. And
Okay.
as long as I can go along for the ride, I feel like the actors did their job.
Okay. I would not go so high as a B plus. I would say a B. I think there's some really cheesy stuff in there. Like, no offense, AJ, but Hux is, a little bit over the top. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's kind of extreme.
See, that's
but
my wrestling fandom springing up though. The goofier, the better. I mean, come on, Macho Man.
well, again, but see, that's supposed to be that way. Whereas I didn't really see that. Hux was a little too campy for me. So that kind of detracts from it. I thought, I like the character of, God, why am I drawing a blank? I'm kicking my own ass. What the hell? I'm forgetting, Finn and Rey and Poe. Jesus. What the hell was that? What was that?
You had to cycle through all the names before he got.
I know. Yeah. But I really liked Poe. I thought Finn was cool. Finn, I agree with you, Chris. He got a little bit over the top sometimes. But I give it really high marks for Rey. I was really surprised because I kind of felt like when we found out that, the main character is going to be female, I had this like kind of Princess Leia picture in my head. And she was always, when I was a kid, my least favorite of the big three, Han and Luke and Leia. And yet I never even noticed throughout the movie. And when I got into it, I'm like, that was awesome. Movie's great. She's great. I didn't even think about it in terms of that's kind of like Princess Leia. It was just that character kicks ass. So I would say a solid B for me.
The one thing that drove me crazy about Daisy Ridley was she's in the desert, right? When she's eating the food and she's smacking her lips. That's just bad manners. And to this day, if I watch that, I'm like, dude, chew with your mouth closed, even though nobody's there. But you're on screen,
AJ, I'll let you take it away. You're the one that hates mouth noises, so you're right there with Chris. So
there were no mouth noises, though. You always saw it, so it was okay. But to your point, yeah, you're going to get sand in there. So, you're on its course and it gets everywhere. We know this.
Yeah, right. Oh, my gosh. All right, so Weaver disagrees with me. He said, I actually kind of liked Hux's speech. Other than that scene, though, I wasn't crazy about Hux. Yep. It was too cheesy for me. I mean, I guess every one of the trilogies, or even you can go film by film, has a character like that. So I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, but,
See, the hard thing for me is that I don't know enough about acting as a craft to say, like, if something doesn't get me the right way, is that the actor's fault or is that the script's fault or the director's fault or, Like
It's probably a little bit
sometimes
of
you can see it's on the page, and
yeah.
sometimes you can just tell they did it wrong.
You know, that Huck scene did not bother me, but you know, we know that George Lucas took a lot of inspiration from World War One, World War Two, and I feel like what Disney did with Hux. I mean, when he's doing that speech, how can you not think of Hitler?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that was almost like a ripoff of Hitler at that point, you know?
Yeah. I when I first saw that, I was like, wow, that's a little historic.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Exactly. Yes, on Discovery Channel, right?
Exactly. All right, so let's move on to all right. So real quick, how do you guys want to do this? Do you want to just go movie, like do all 5 categories for one movie, or just go like acting for episode 7, acting for episode 8, acting for episode 9? Like do it that way. What is your preference?
I would say stay on those. I would prefer to stay on the acting. you
Okay.
know?
All right,
I would
perfect.
All right, so characters for episode 7. Let's go.
Oh,
No.
shut up, AJ. Look at that. We have a guest host, so you're just laying it to
But
him,
it's
man.
your-
What the heck?
It's your show. I'm
Exactly,
just
it's
a
our show.
guest. So
Don't worry, Chris. I got you. All right, let's do this the right way, Chris. There you go. There we go. All right, there you go.
I'm in charge, Macht. I'm in charge now. I'm in charge.
Nice. Oh my gosh. All right, Chris. So you are up. We are now on acting for episode 8.
episode 8, I would say that was probably so. It's a B plus for episode 7. Episode 8, I would say B minus.
Okay.
You guys know I love Mark Hamill, and he was solid in the original trilogy, and I did love Luke Skywalker. I'm the odd man out in episode 8, but I felt like, let's just say, his acting might have been a little rusty because he's not really been that active,
Okay.
outside of doing the voice work. I feel like Ray was probably, the same. The intensity was there. But I would say that Oscar Isaac was, I thought his acting was better in episode 7. Like the
Okay.
continuity between all the acting was kind of a little bit up and down, but still solid. Still solid. I would have to say B minus. And if there's anything that drives me crazy, except for seeing Mark Hamill a little rusty about that, about the acting anyway, nothing really screams at me, And then going back to your comment earlier about playing the roles, I did feel like the actors probably started to feel naturally, right, more slipped into their roles. And I could not stand Driver in episode 7, I think because he was the villain. And I hated Darth Vader in episode 4 when I was a kid.
Okay.
And by the end of it, I just thought Kylo Ren's character was one of my favorites from the sequels,
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. All right, AJ. What grade are you giving the acting in episode 8?
I'm gonna go to a regular B.
Okay.
It's a very narrow window here, but the movies are so different. It's really hard to say, like, it's hard to compare performances because you could tell that they were told to behave differently, right? Like you got the your mother joke with Hux and Poe right at the start. You've got Luke and Ray doing the whole like reach out.
Yeah.
And, like weird stuff like that just didn't exist in Force Awakens. So like, it's hard to compare the performances against each other and be like, oh, well, this one's better or worse because they weren't asked to do the same things. But I do like you were saying, Chris. I think that Kylo Ren got way better because I think Adam Driver was way more comfortable in the role. Poe was pretty hilarious through the whole thing, actually.
Yeah.
So that was really good. But overall, I think they had a hard time figuring out how to play the same character but differently. And I think that's just the lack of continuity between the films because I go back to like the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy, it never felt like, with the exception of, an obvious recast from episode 1 to 2,
Yeah.
that any of those characters were really that different from one movie to the next. They had grown and developed, but they like their portrayal didn't change that much. I feel like in this one it did, so it was almost like back to square one for most of them, and I don't think they pulled off everything as well as they had in the previous movie.
Okay.
Probably because they were being asked to do different stuff than like a George Lucas style movie like J.J. Abrams was going for with episode 7.
Yeah, true.
If I could make one comment too, now that I'm really getting into my mind with episode 8. The thing that really bothered me in the beginning, and this might have to do with acting a little bit. The whole thing with Poe and Hux in the beginning, I'm like, this is like Jar Jar type of humor. I thought it was very odd for that to start the movie, because the tone for episode 8, and you could say, Johnson versus JJ, kind of dynamic, but I just felt like they were trying to be humorous. And in episode 7, I didn't feel the forced humor. And I think when you start getting into that element for actors, I would assume that, it's kind of tricky sometimes, especially when you're trying to develop this character, but you're not doing the same thing as you were in the last movie. Now you're kind of switching gears completely. If anything, I would like to know how it was for the actors on that movie versus 7 and 9. I'm sure that's in print somewhere.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. It's like the one thing I will say, about episode 8. I'm a huge fan of the movie, but yeah, I think that the humor's a little more forced in episode 8. It felt more natural in episode 7, I think. So I would completely agree with you there. For me, I'm giving the acting in episode 8 an A+.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And the reason being, it's our buddy Sean. What's up, Sean? How's it going, man? What's up, man? He says, "Snoochie boochies, you scruffy looking nerf herders."
Yeah, Lisa, because when you were on the show, we talked about Sean a lot and my love affair with Sean.
Yep.
And Lisa asked if there was a wedding planned.
Yes, and I'm the best man. So I'm giving the acting for episode 8 an A+, and I'll tell you why. I thought that, all of the characters were done extremely well. I'm a huge fan of what they did with Luke Skywalker in the movie. Instead of just making him like double superhero Luke, it was, okay, this is a natural progression of someone over 30 years, especially aging. They might get a little more cynical. I mean, we all get more cynical as we age, it seems like. I'm with you, Chris. I was not sold on Adam Driver in episode 7, and then after episode 8, I was like, okay, love the character. Rey, I really, again, as I said before, I loved Rey coming out of episode 7, and I really loved her coming out of episode 8. Like, you could just feel her just wanting to turn him so badly. She was just like pushing so hard to bring Ben to the light, and I love that. Snoke was a cool character to see him more fully fleshed out, even though they, offed him, at the end of the movie. But I think all the way around, all the characters and the subplots and everything were really cool. I know, Admiral Holdo gets dumped on, but I actually really liked Admiral Holdo too. I thought it was, the way that everything was portrayed, like it really felt like it was a hopeless situation. And I always had that kind of feeling of how in the crap are they going to get out of this type of thing. So I think the whole thing just really worked for me. So I'm a huge proponent of the movie, and I thought the acting was great. So I'm giving it an A+, our first A+ of the night. So
I think that's a good point too, because if you look at the characters that people did not like the overall, right? It was Laura Dern's character and Rose Tico,
yep.
Right?
God, I even forgot her.
If you look at their acting's not bad. It's like you just don't like the character for one reason or another. Those characters never really bothered me. But even though, like, going back to just those actresses, the way that they portrayed their characters, they were still solid at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally agree.
And not to bash on any George Lucas era movies, because that is not what we do. But I've seen some acting from the prequels. This is blasphemous, I know, but I know some of you can agree. There's acting from the prequels that definitely was not as solid as what we saw from the actors in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. Now, would you attribute that to dialogue? Because I've always kind of said that I think that, you know, and I mean, let's be honest. Let's say what we're saying. You know, it was Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen, the way that they had to go back and forth. I've always thought it was more a product of dialogue, because they're struggling against these terrible lines, and you're trying to make it sound good as opposed to it being something a person would naturally say. So you can kind of get more into the character. Instead, you're having to come up with, like, you know, I can't breathe. You know, you are in my very soul. And it's kind of hard to put on a good performance there, trying to go in the middle of, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, you've heard Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher say that the dialogue from the original trilogy was difficult at times.
Yeah.
But they always delivered solidly. So I don't know, you know, yes, dialogue could be difficult for them to deliver, but at the same time, I think any solid actor in that profession is going to deliver. Now, to Hayden's, and I know we're talking about the sequels, not the prequels, but to Hayden's defense, he was not as experienced as the sequel actors. But if you look at Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie, those guys were pretty much virgins at that point, you know?
Yeah.
And they delivered so solidly. And maybe that's why Harrison Ford went on to have the career that he had, because he mastered hard dialogue from George Lucas.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, my only so I will just counter that by saying this. Natalie Portman won an Oscar for Best Actress in another film. So that's why I always wonder about whether or not it was dialogue, because I'm like, man, if she can win, I get it. Black Swan was a goofy movie, but she did win a Best Actress award. So
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. So I see it both ways. I'm definitely not disagreeing with you. I just always wondered, like, what people's take on it.
Well, you know, and you could say too, maybe J.J. Abrams is a better director with the actors than George Lucas was with the actors too. Like you said, AJ, there's a lot of different variables in making things like that work perfectly. There really is.
Yeah.
You know, the other trick is, if you look at what else the sequel trilogy actors have done, it's not a lot of mainstream stuff. It's all like a lot of art film sort of things.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at like Oscar Isaac and Adam Driver especially, they do some weird stuff. So for them to try to pull off like a mainstream performance like a Star Wars, it's really a stretch for them. It's weird to say something simple like Star Wars, simple by comparison, because there's not a lot of nuance to the performances, right? Like the dialogue is plain. It's very melodramatic, broad stroke. But for what they're used to, they don't know how to play that stuff. Like the guy who played Hux might have had the easiest time because he did Harry Potter beforehand. And that's pretty plain too. But otherwise, yeah, like I think they were all outside of their comfort zone on this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that, man. All right, Chris, episode 9. The acting in episode 9. What is your grade?
Oh, acting in episode 9.
And by the way, just so you are fully free to crap on stuff on our show.
You know what?
We don't subscribe to that whole must remain positive. If it sucks, if it's rebels level, you're allowed to say so.
But I did say
Come on, resistance level, dude. Play off for Rebels.
I did say Mark Hamill I thought he was a little rusty in 8. I did not mind the character of Luke Skywalker. I know there's been a lot of backlash from that. And I don't agree with a lot of that, but I feel like, okay, when you say episode 9 acting, the first thing that comes to my mind is Ian McDiarmid. And I thought the Emperor in episode 9 was somewhat disappointing to me. Ian has been a great actor and over the top since we first saw him in Return of the Jedi. You might want to say Darth Sidious saved the prequels to some extent. I mean, his character was, again, over the top, but just such good acting. So, I mean, the guy's an acclaimed theater actor. I just thought that in episode 9, when I saw him, maybe I was disappointed with his character. I don't know, but I would almost dumb it down and say, okay, I give the acting in 9 a C+. So
okay.
I'm on a decline right now. Because I started B+, B-, and then now I think Ian McDiarmid alone had brought it down to a C+ for me.
Okay. What about you, AJ?
Man, Chris, you and I. Yeah, I agree. It's I remember like the beginning of the movie where they're trying to establish that these guys are longtime friends and they're just doing banter back and forth. But what it really came across as was, we're not even trying. Like, it's almost like a behind the scenes clip of the actors just hanging out. It doesn't feel like the characters talking. It feels like the actors like, hey, did you get your paycheck? Yeah, I got my paycheck. Did you get yours? Yeah, I got mine. We good? Yeah. Cut. That's a wrap.
All right.
Like, okay. The scene that sticks out like a sore thumb, and I'm sorry, I know it was a feat to pull off, but God, Rey talking to Leia. I mean, I don't know how you craft dialogue like that anyway, because you're stitching it together with existing footage, but there is no way in hell I ever believed that Daisy Ridley was talking to anyone whatsoever. Like,
yeah, but I mean, now,
God, it was so bad.
If you didn't know that was stitched together from previous footage,
I would have rated it lower. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't good as it was, and it was still the best it could be.
So
like, I don't know how you act against literally nothing. Like, she didn't even know what dialogue was going to be stitched in response. I get that, but Jesus.
All right. So what's your grade? What's your grade?
Oh, by the way, fun fact. Bulio, the guy whose head got cut off, that was Mark Hamill's voice.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I also thought was a bad job. Like, that voice and that performance for the 2 lines that guy had, I'm like, what the So, yeah.
It wasn't Mark's best performance.
Right.
Man.
It's his best performance because I didn't know it was his. So I'll give him credit. Like, I didn't hear Mark Hamill, so good voice acting, but
man, these last few episodes, I feel like I should hold up my Babu Frick over there and be like, show me on the doll where episode 9 touched you. Like, good Lord. Man, every episode it gets worse and worse.
So what is you never said your grade.
What's your grade?
C-.
C-. Okay.
C-, man. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yes, they conveyed the story, but they didn't add to it whatsoever.
Ugh. All right.
Standout would be Lando. Billy D, especially based on the low expectations I had, having seen him in previous years and how he was not nearly that energetic. Lando killed it.
Well, that's a perfect segue for me because I'm going with the B, and I always think of Lando first. Even though he was barely on the screen, and when he was just cheesing the whole time. I don't care. Something like, Wookiees always stand out in a crowd. With that big smile. And then he comes flying in like he recruits a bajillion spaceships and it's this big serious thing, but he's just, yeah, I'm flying the Falcon. He's just kicking ass. Like, he's rolling. I was like, you could look at that and be like, all right, that's like, Jimmy Fallon on Saturday Night Live, like totally like getting out of character. But I don't care. Like, I wanted that. Like, yeah, that's cool, Lando. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to go kick some space ass. Like, no more Tabana gas mines for me. Like, that was awesome. So I love that. Again, I loved Rey and Kylo. I thought that was fantastic. Oddly, like a standout character for me is Janna, even though she doesn't really have a lot of screen time. But it was for a character that was pretty much pointless. Like, you don't have to. We've talked about it before. You don't have to shoehorn new characters in at that point. But it was believable, and you could kind of see like it was a believable character to me. So I thought that was cool. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was as bad as you guys did, so I'll give it a B. All right, moving on to characters. Chris, episode 7, characters. Sean chimes in. He agrees. Lando kicks and bangs all the space ass.
I just wonder if he's trying to have sex with the Millennium Falcon since L3 became a part of it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's heavily implied that he did it when she was a droid. So
that's good. That's gonna be.
That's true. Yes.
That's gonna. They're gonna have a. That's gonna be the next show on Disney Plus. It's gonna be a rom-com between L3 and Lando. It's it'll be like like one of those goofy like 80s shows with Tony Danza. So, all right. So characters, Chris, episode 7.
Characters, I'm going to give it a. You know what? I want to give it a C plus, but I'm going to give it a B minus.
Okay.
And the reason why I wanted to give it a C plus is because they missed the freaking opportunity to have the 3 legendary characters on screen at the same time.
There it is.
That might be a D minus actually.
Yeah.
But as far as the new characters, I was happy with all of them. So I would say B minus. But man, isn't that something that? Why did they not put all 3 characters together at the same time while they had the chance? See, that's what happens in filmmaking. When you save the good shit for last, use all the good shit you got now. Use all the tools and resources you have now, because you don't know when the next opportunity or what the next opportunity is going to be.
Yep.
Got to take advantage of that, and they didn't. But new characters, B minus for sure.
Okay. AJ, characters, episode 7.
Right down the middle, I'm going with a C. And it's
Okay.
because I like Rey and Finn and Poe. Those were intriguing characters to set up. And I like how they all kind of had their space and a little overlap. Like I like the lightsaber battle at the end where Finn, you thought like, oh, Finn's the guy holding the lightsaber twice. He's going to be the guy. And no, it turns out it's Rey. So that was cool.
Okay.
But and Kylo Ren, I thought was intriguing. The whole idea of like he's trying to be a bad guy when he's really a good guy, instead of like it's like the inverse of Anakin and Vader kind of a thing.
Okay.
But you literally have R2 shut off, so he does nothing except he had the secret the entire time, and they're just too dumb to even ask him about it. And then 3PO was kind of funny, I guess.
3PO is 3PO, which I liked. I liked that.
They got Han right. I'll give him credit for that. I mean, Han was Han. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Leia, she'd still be fighting, but it just, I don't know. Maybe this is a script problem, but there were too many references to the old stuff.
Okay.
Like, it felt like they were trying to connect the characters by referencing things rather than having them behave the same. Han is the one guy who didn't do that.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And then Luke, well, he was barely in it, so you can't really rate that performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm downvoting for what they did with the existing characters, and I'm upvoting for what they did with the new characters. So that's average. That's a C to me.
Okay. Well, I'm going with a D. And the only reason it's not a big F, and F stands for fuck you, J.J. Abrams, is
We
because
haven't mentioned BB-8, by the way.
Yeah. Well, exactly. The new characters are cool. BB-8's great. Rey's great. Poe, Finn, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But the reason they didn't have the big 3 together on the screen, I think, is because they knew it would just destroy anything they were trying to build with the new characters. So I can understand that. But to give me like 10 seconds of Luke Skywalker, give me something, okay? Leia barely did anything, and any movie that has the audacity to kill Han Solo gets a fat friggin' F from me, because that is bullshit. And I was sitting there in episode 9, I'm like, J.J. Abrams, you goddamn bastard, if you blow up the Millennium Falcon, I am finding you, and I am caving your nuts in with a truck. So, yeah, I'm the same with you, AJ, but I'm not letting him off the hook. It's a D. So,
damn.
Yeah, F
But
that.
Han also had some of his best moments in this movie, though.
Yeah, but he died.
No redemption for that whatsoever?
No, because he died. I don't care about his awesome lines. I care about him living. Okay? That's what I care about. Don't give me dead Han Solo. That's bullshit. It was bullshit. It's forever bullshit. And I don't want to hear this crap about, well, he did say he wanted to die back before Jedi. I don't care. He lives. That's why when I saw the movie for the 13th time in the theater on my birthday, right before that scene, I got up and left them like, not today, J.J. Abrams. On my birthday, Han Solo lives. So piss on J.J. Abrams. Yeah. So screw that. All right, back to the point here.
All right, very nice.
All right.
Okay. That's good stuff. That's good. It's hard to argue.
Sorry.
I have my own view on it, but I would tell you what really made that scene, though. What really made that scene, not only was Harrison Ford delivered a great performance in his death scene, but the fucking John Williams music, man. God,
dude.
Did they, and Finn and Rey, the way that they looked on, and Chewie yelling.
The Wookiee rampage, yes.
Even though they killed Han Solo, I thought that it was really well done how they did that scene.
Yeah, I hated it because he walks out there, and they're talking and everything, and it's cool. I'm like, okay, because I'm thinking, oh boy, this is like, there's nowhere to go. Like another.
They're not gonna hug on the bridge, right?
Yeah, like there's no railings, like, so I don't like this over a chasm thing. And then they're talking. I'm like, as the scene's going on, it's getting longer and longer. I'm like, okay, the longer it goes, I might be okay. And then they're looking at each other, and all of a sudden it shows that the light all of a sudden turns red. I'm like, I was like, Cleveland in Family Guy. No. Like, so the music stops, the light turns red. I'm going, don't you do it, J.J. Abrams. But he did.
See, now I called that scene happening when we left the bar and we walked across the parking lot to see the premiere of Episode 7. I said, Han Solo's dying tonight. I just had a feeling. And when he
I'm so glad I wasn't there with you. I'd be like, you shut up right now, Chris. We don't talk like that.
I don't think he'd be talking to him right now. He wouldn't be on this show.
Yeah, we are no longer friends.
That was a brief friendship. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so all right, Chris. So you are up. Characters for Episode 8.
Yeah, characters for Episode 8. I got to dip down to a C- on this. I thought Maz Kanata was a wasted. Maz Kanata was a wasted Episode 8. Especially with the sexual innuendo, I'm like, I mean,
yeah,
that's all I got anyway. Oh, he know? I can't remember the exact quote, but
yeah.
Even Poe and Finn look at each other like, okay, that's a little too much information.
That's gross, Maz.
I was not a fan of Rose. Didn't hate Rose, but just thought it was a forced character. It's like,
okay,
hey, let's bring in a female Asian character and just smack her in the middle of some kind of relationship with Finn. Now, I will say too, character-wise, in the first film, I loved Finn. Poe was underneath him for me. And in Episode 8, Finn dipped down and Poe went to the top for me. It's always been up and down with those two characters. As far as any new, General Hold'em, she didn't really bother me that much. I would say just overall, I guess a C-. Because I thought they could have done a little bit more with these new characters and killing Admiral Akbar the way they did. I know there's been a debate about that, but I thought if you're going to bring a classic character back, you got to give him more screen time. You have to give him more screen time. A little bit too with I want to say Mike Quinn, Nien Nunb. If you're going to bring him back, let him get a little bit more screen time. So, yeah, overall,
he's got a body.
C- for sure.
I mean, remember in Return of the Jedi, he didn't actually have a body.
He didn't have a body, no. And I don't want to sound like one of those crazy old school fans where it's like, oh my God, you killed Admiral Akbar that way. But I just thought if you're going to bring him back, give him some. If you're going to do the fans service, let's see it at full throttle. not half-assed.
Yeah.
It felt like they kind of did that a little bit,
You know what's
All right,
funny?
AJ.
Just talking about all this stuff, we're not mentioning some of the biggest names that like exist in the sequel trilogy. We haven't talked Snoke at all. We mentioned Kylo Ren here and there. The one that I'm surprised you didn't cover, Chris, and I'm gonna have to give the characters on this one. I'll give him a B plus actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Rose felt unnecessary, and there's most of the cringe moments come from her. But I thought DJ was great. He was hilarious. I loved him.
Ah, you stole my thunder.
We haven't talked about BB-8 at all.
Yeah.
In 7 or 8. BB-8, great character.
Well, okay,
so
so here's the thing about DJ. I was expecting more from him because that dude's such a great actor, and I felt like they could have done more with him. And the fact, wasn't episode 8 when Phasma died?
yes.
Yeah.
It's like she was such a big part of episode 7, small part of it episode 8, and then you kill her off. I'm like, where the fuck is it? Where did that go?
Oh yeah, Phasma was nonsense.
Phasma is the Darth Maul of the sequel trilogy. Let's be honest. You're like, oh, that's great. Wait a minute. Why is that character barely? Oh, they're dead.
Right.
That's really what it was. Check it out. We got a Chrome Stormtrooper. We got a female Chrome Stormtrooper. Oh, she's dead. Like, it's totally what it was, man. It was, Sean says, started to feel like they only brought characters back to kill them off. Yeah. There seemed to be a little bit of a, disrespect in that. I wouldn't even, well, I don't know if disrespect is the right word, but it did kind of feel that way. I can't really argue with that. That's pretty accurate, I think.
The broad strokes kind of work with that, though. I get the idea of like you lean on the original characters most heavily in the first one, and then less heavily in the second one, and then basically not at all in the third one.
Yeah.
Like I get that whole like transition of power as the new characters rise in prominence, but yeah, no. So continuing, let's see. So DJ, yes, gets a thumbs up.
You already
Yoda.
gave your grade.
No, I didn't.
Well, you did. You said B plus.
Okay, maybe I did. But I wasn't done talking, damn it.
You buzzed in.
Filibustering.
No, you buzzed in. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Well, that's your opinion. Celebrity Jeopardy, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, classic. No, okay, some highlights. Rey was pretty awesome. I mean, she went through the ringer in that movie. I thought she did great job at that. That was really cool. The twist of like she's nobody.
Yeah,
that was we're ignoring episode 9 because we're pretending like that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So episode 8, Rey was awesome. I love that she struggled. I loved Luke Skywalker in episode 8. I thought his thing was amazing. I love that he's like, you know what, screw it. I'm the problem. I'm pulling myself out of all this stuff. And then to come back and just totally fake out Kylo at the end was amazing. Kylo was awesome too. I love the idea of I'm gonna kill the big bad guy here, but not because I'm good, because I want to be the big bad guy. That was fantastic.
I agree.
You thought it was like a Vader thing where he's like, I'm good now. That's why I killed the Emperor. It's like, no, I killed Snoke because I want to be the supreme leader.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was
okay.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. I was down with all that stuff. I thought Hux got completely shafted. They had that rivalry baked in, and it would have been really cool. And they screwed it up, man. Like, I love this idea of like, there's two people that want to run the First Order. They have to fight it out, and there's a power struggle. But there really wasn't, because Hux was never a threat.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well,
sorry.
I'm going.
Oh crap!
Filibuster over there. Well,
now I'm warning you right now, JT. I just tightened a plug that was almost falling out of my soundboard. So much like your Wi-Fi, if you stop hearing me, that's why.
No, you sound fine. I'm going with an A+ again. I think DJ's awesome. BB-8 is awesome. I love Fathirs. They're like the space version of a dog, and I love dogs. I thought the Rose thing was kind of cool.
Acting.
It was like the whole
That's not
character.
Okay, Fathirs is a character, yes. And Porgs.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Porgs were great. The animals were cute.
I did love the porgs, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, the whole thing for me, Rey was phenomenal, and Luke was phenomenal, and Kylo Ren was phenomenal. I, anytime I think about this movie, I think of nothing but like cool character moments. And Poe learning a lesson, and putting smack down in his place. The Holdo maneuver, like Why did you have to go and do that? Why?
You weren't considering everything.
Listen. A+ can be like a 95 or above. It doesn't mean 100. So it's not 100 because they have Carrie Poppins in there. Okay, damn you, AJ. Man, I was trying not to bring that up for one show. But
isn't it amazing how we just gloss over the parts we don't like?
Well, because you're not. I mean, there's very rarely something that. I mean, I don't know how you stand on this one, Chris, but I think for me, like, pretty much like Rogue One and Empire, there are no parts you look at and go, yeah, I could cringe at that for 4 seconds. But there is Carrie Poppins in episode 8, but you don't. I sometimes forget it because I'm just thinking about the whole Luke thing. And DJ's a fun character that actually makes sense, especially when he says like the ship is owned by bad guys and good guys. It's like they're all the same, dude. Like so yeah,
that was pretty solid.
Yeah, so I thought it was cool, man. The characters for me were very engaging, and again, Luke just steals the show. And DJ was great, and BB-8 was great, and it was just cool. It was very character driven for me, and I loved it. It all worked for me. So, so A+ for me. All right, so grab your toilet paper, people, because we're getting into episode 9 with Chris and AJ with the characters. So, Chris, characters in episode 9. What is your grade?
I don't. Okay, so I don't believe there were any new characters except for the Emperor.
We had Admiral Pride. We had Janna. We had Babu Frick, and we had Zori Bliss.
Okay, yeah, Babu Frick, Zori Bliss. Yeah, you know what?
They were all kind of bit parts. They weren't any, like, huge, except for the Emperor.
Yeah,
you almost say the Knights of Ren.
Oh yeah! Holy crap! I forgot that.
You know what? I'm going to go B- with this.
Okay.
And you know what? If I can just get, we might do this at the end, but an overall grade on the characters for the sequels, I would probably give maybe more of a B+ overall.
See, that's weird because you have B-, C-, B-.
Yeah, but overall as a whole. I would not make a very good teacher.
I was going to say, if you were my teacher, you would piss me off. What the F?
Like, I mean, because, you start thinking about the individual movies, then you start thinking about the individual elements, but then you start thinking about, okay, how do I feel about the sequels as a whole with all these topics? And I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good, but not super satisfied like I was during the prequels.
Okay.
So I would, just to kind of bring up my C grade from episode 8, because I felt like that was a little harsh. And now that I'm thinking about it and feeling it, I got to bring it up, do a B- on episode 9. Babu Frick was awesome, by the way. I love Babu Frick.
Dude, Babu Frick was phenomenal.
He's a lot of fun. He's a lot.
Yep.
Now I know a lot of people didn't even like Dio, but he didn't bother me.
I thought Dio was fine.
Did he steal the show? No. And AJ, you said we're not talking about BB-8. I think BB-8 as a whole was a good new character, but I felt like he stole the show from the droid that we all love. I felt like for some reason they couldn't have both droids get equal screen time for some reason or another.
Well, isn't it weird considering they did that with 3PO and R2 for the whole, like...
Yes!
I mean, why could you not,
It's weird that they benched R2 in favor of BB-8, but C-3PO, I think, had more to do in this trilogy than anyone before.
Well, episode 9 was, like, the C-3PO movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, God, C-3PO had a lot more to do with the sequels than he did the prequels.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
All right, AJ.
B minus for me.
Okay. AJ, episode 9 characters. Oh boy.
All right.
Without filibustering this time too.
I have so many feelings. No, I'm gonna say, man, it's weird. Like, I can't point the finger at the characters as being the problem, and yet they comprise the story that I don't like. So, who fell down? All right, I'm gonna have to give my grade at the end after I walk through this a little bit. So let's see. Rey, I like that she, flirted with the dark side. Forget about the Palpatine thing.
Remember, we said no filibustering here.
Well, then quit interrupting. It'll go much faster. Palpatine, no, thumbs down, giant turd. Not the actor's fault. It was the script's fault for bringing him back in the first place. He shouldn't have been there. R2 had like nothing to do, so I don't know why Dio was there. What did Dio do?
To sell toys.
Yeah.
So you made a character up just to sell toys, not to actually contribute to the story.
Well, and there is the rumor that he was in there for inclusion, for like kids, like special needs,
yeah,
kids on the spectrum. Yeah, there was that rumor
I
too.
like his name, Dio.
Yeah, right.
Without the eye, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
3PO was awesome though. I like what they did with him. Knights of Ren, Hux. So all in all, I'm gonna have to give that a C minus, maybe even a D, because I can't think of anyone who was like, oh yeah, they're way better in this one than they were in other movies.
Yeah, right.
Like, I think everyone took a step back. Like all the choices were just not that good.
This is difficult. I would have.
I mean, what was Carrie Fisher's performance? What the hell was that? That was terrible.
Is this where we make?
It's like she wasn't even there for it.
So her performance just seemed so stiff.
Too soon.
Yeah, right. Welcome to the Nerve Herder Council, ladies and gentlemen.
It seemed like she had cashed out like a year prior or something.
Oh my gosh. All right, so yeah, this is kind of difficult for me because, no, I guess not. I'm gonna go with a B, and I say that because Babu Frick, while a small part was great, Zori Bliss kind of pointless, but it was cool. As I said, before, Janna, I thought was a cool character. Well done, even though it was a pointless character. I think there's no need to, again, when you're in the last movie, the Skywalker saga, you don't need to introduce new characters. That's the one thing I always thought was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, we don't need we have enough characters. Just finish this. Like, I don't need new people. Like, what do you get away from me? I don't need you. But the ones that they brought in were cool, and we did get to see the Knights of Ren, so that was fun.
It would have been a disappointment if we did not see them, because that was a story. That was part of the story for a while,
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but I mean, Lando, I just, like I said before, I don't care if he was cheesing. I don't care if people may take away from the performance. I do. It was Lando. It was cool. Lando having a good time, kicking ass. And that's, 7-year-old me who saw, episode 7 or episode 6 in the theater. That's what I want to see. Like, cool, suave Lando just whooping ass. So that's what I got. So I thought it was cool, man. I liked it. So I will give that a B. I will give the characters in episode 9 a B. So, all right. So let's go to story. AJ, I'm going to cut legacy because we're going to be here all night otherwise. But we can get into that a little bit.
I tried to time box this, and you're like, nah, that's not how we do things.
Yeah. Well, one of us has to give 10-minute answers. AJ. So anyway, time box yourself. All right. Story. We're moving on to grading the story. Chris, you are up first with episode 7, the story.
The story for episode 7, a lot of people said it was a carbon copy of, the original, and it kind of was, but how? Yeah, the story was not. It was not very original. It didn't bother me, but if I'm going to grade this on originality on the story, I give it an F.
Well, here you go.
I give it an F. But like I said, it didn't bother me.
Hey, in fairness, the front half was fine. It was the back half that was the ripoff.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars, and it's like there's a formula, and I feel like making 7, 8, 9 was probably one of the biggest challenges for the franchise as a whole. And just to go quickly on a legacy, I know we're skipping that, but
That's fine.
it's hard to tell, right? Because it's only been a couple years. It's hard to tell what the legacy of the original trilogy is going to be 30 years from now. The fact that they're made, the fact that when they were made and released and people expressed some disappointment and went back and said, oh, you know what? I used to hate the prequels, but I love them now.
Yeah. Yeah, they age better.
I think the future of Star Wars is going to shape the legacy of 7, 8, 9. So I think that's to be determined.
Yeah.
But as far as story originality goes, I give it an F, but story overall, it didn't bother me. So I give it a B- because I was happy to see a new Star Wars movie.
Okay. All right, AJ, story, episode 7.
C-.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I like the front half. The setup was good, but they could have done so many things besides rip off things we'd already seen before for the back half and directly reference it. Like, as soon as you put the friggin' Death Star next to Starkiller Base in a hologram and have the characters acknowledge that they're the same goddamn thing.
Yeah, that was. Oh, I still can't believe they did that.
Like, Jesus. Yeah, so they fell down hard on the back half of that movie. So, yeah I got to give it a C-. The good stuff does not outweigh the bad.
Yeah,
Was that short enough for you?
I mean,
I cede my time.
okay. All right. I mean, hey, that's you. Yeah, I would have to say I was expecting you to talk a little longer. I was going to share my screen with a picture, but let me just do this here. F! A giant F! This movie is nothing but a ripoff of episode 4. It's an F! It is a giant, giant F. There we go. Solo myself there. Let's get out of here. So, anyways, yeah, this movie will forever piss me off for being a ripoff of episode 4. AJ, you nailed it. The first part of it, like I'd say the first 45 minutes or so.
And they killed Han Solo.
Yeah, well, that too. That's I already went on my tirade for that. But yeah, I mean, after the first 45 minutes, I was like, "What the hell is this? I've already seen this movie. Like, what are we doing here? Like I waited all this time for new Star Wars, and I'm getting a covers album of episode 4. Like, what the hell is that? And AJ, to your point, that thing's like the Death Star. No, it's bigger. Oh, geez. Like, seriously. Come on! Like, I just couldn't believe that you would even put that in there. Like, Jesus, man. Like, I mean, as soon as you saw the movie poster, you're like, what the hell is that Death Star looking thing in the middle? Why is that there? And yeah, Sean nailed it. Somehow the Death Star returned.
Just to kill off again.
I know. Oh my God! Excellent episode 9 reference, Sean. You win points for that one. Yeah, they killed Han Solo and they ripped off episode 4, and it was the only time I've left the theater after Star Wars have been going, yeah, it was okay. Every other one I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. This one I was like, yeah, it's okay. So
we confirmed that Chewbacca has thumbnails, though.
True. Aren't Wookiees supposed to have claws?
That's what I would think. Yeah, they got to climb trees with those things, don't they?
I know.
All right. I think the only Star Wars movie I left saying that, I know, is Han Solo. I'm like,
Solo?
Yeah, and I know you're a big fan of that movie. But
wow.
For me, I was like, yeah, it was all right.
Has it aged well for you? Is it getting better? Or you still feel that way?
I still feel that way because every time I saw, it was the only Star Wars movie that I saw once in the theater. I saw all the other ones countless times.
Yeah.
And every time I put it on Blu-ray at home, I'm like, okay, I'm going to find something to do.
Wow.
See, that's interesting because
Oh,
we're
we're
talking
not here
about
to
basically
breathe it.
pandering, right? Like Solo panders to the audience and gives them everything that they expect. So does episode 7. But you're saying like 7 is not as guilty as Solo.
Han Solo did not grab me in the balls. If anything, it fucking
Good.
smacked me in the ass. Hey, man, this is not the movie for you. I don't know. There was so much disappointment around Solo, but I don't want to. I got to stay on target.
right.
That's all right. We can, yeah, we can. Yes, we could definitely debate that on a future episode because I, man. All right, so moving
Didn't
on.
we do one called "Why Solo is Better Than You Think" or something like that?
Yeah, we have that. We definitely have that. God, that was actually pretty recent too. So, all right. So
Anyway,
story episode 8. Chris, what grade are you giving it?
Episode 8, I give it B+.
Okay.
And I know that's crazy because see, I always have to defend my answer, right? Like I know it's crazy because I know the fans hate this, but I'm the odd man out, and like a lot of people like hated the fact that the movie was about them trying to just keep on keeping on through hyperspace, you know?
Yeah.
But part of that movie. But I
Yeah.
think what really
slowest chase scene ever. Yes.
yeah, slowest chase, but to me that didn't bother me. I think seeing Luke Skywalker in episode 8 and that whole story with Rey and then the whole thing with Yoda, I think that and when Luke comes back at the end and the whole like that was beautiful when he
Yeah. Yep.
that was like the Star Wars humor from that movie that really was like, yeah, that's fucking Luke Skywalker, man. You don't take him down like that.
Right.
And I still think it's a little bit of blasphemy that Mark Hamill just complained about his character because I, like you, I just thought that I was so happy with that. I was so happy to see him, even though I made a little bit complaint about his acting being a little rusty.
Mhm.
I think just I would say B plus and all that.
Okay. All right. AJ, story on episode 8. What is your grade?
A friggin' plus. Best
I love-
story of the sequel trilogy, no problem. Like,
Okay.
every single choice and thing that the characters had to do was surprising but made sense. And I love that Luke came back. I love that Yoda was there. Like it felt almost like a fan film as far as like what could you do with these characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Like an
great.
indie.
Like, and I love people hate the whole like side quest to Canto Bight because it amounted to nothing. But that was the point. It was like sometimes you try and you fail.
Yeah.
And other things like Rey's choice of like I need to belong to something. Who am I? You're nothing. You're nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Like everything about that was just amazing. Like every time they had like a pivotal way, like every time episode 7 leaned into expectations, episode 8 leaned away from it. And
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep. So I'm going to piggyback on you. I'm also giving it an A+. And I completely agree with your points because I think if you look throughout the movie, like everything is about subverting expectations and kind of turning what you think is going to happen or hope is going to happen on its ear, but in a logical way that still makes sense. Like you said, like, people rip on the Canto Bight thing, but it's like exactly as you said, like sometimes it don't work out. And all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, we don't have 12 hours. We've got 4 hours. Like, it adds to the, tension. Like how, they're running out of time. They basically did this for nothing. They went to a space casino. I mean, although I liked it because they basically, it was like an animal rescue. They rescued the Fathiers. So, screw the rebellion. The Fathiers are good. You know me, dogs over people. So, hey, that was cool. So good for them. They saved the Fathiers. But yeah, the whole Luke Skywalker thing, to your point, Chris, like it was amazing. It was when just like I left episode 7 going, episode 8 was the only movie I left the theater going, what the hell did I just see? I got to watch that again. Like, oh my God, it made me think more than any other Star Wars movie. And I thought that was really cool. I've said many times in the show, when I go to see Star Wars, I want to see something different. Like, show me a new part of the story, a new character or something, and that's exactly what I got with this. And to me, it opens up this whole other aspect of the Jedi, what you can explain, where you can take their backstory. It's not just, okay, the Jedi were really good, really good, really good. They got arrogant. Oh, they're gone. It broadens them and it humanizes them. And I thought that was awesome. And, the Jedi are my favorite part of the Star Wars universe. And so for me, for that to be expanded upon, I loved it. So A+ for me as well. I thought it was fantastic.
This is where I wish we had Steve on the show.
Yeah. Sean says, I feel like Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction. This is simply where you and I differ.
Actually, I hit the wrong comment. This is the one I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Sean says episode 8 has the worst space battle scenes of the entire franchise.
Can't argue.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
Can't argue. But, I mean, I guess that didn't really bother me because I didn't really notice because there's so many damn space battles in Star Wars. I think when one's not there, I'm like, okay, well, I've got like 72,428 other ones. So
yeah, sure.
I mean,
it did give us the Holdo maneuver, though.
Yes, that was awesome, dude. That was cool.
Everybody off.
But it was so cool. Like, there's no sound. You just see the light, like, whoop, right through the ship, and then boom. I was like, that is awesome. That was so cool. That was
and one of the best lightsaber battles in the franchise.
Yeah, that was a good lightsaber battle. Yes. All right, Chris.
Whoa.
Okay.
No, best lightsaber.
It's a one of the best.
One of
the best.
There are a few. It's on the podium. Come on, it's Olympic season.
It's on the top 10. It's on the top 10.
It's on the top 10. There's
10
only
of 9
11 to
movies.
choose from. Yeah. Exactly. All right, Chris. So episode 9, story. What is your grade?
Episode 9, story. I was disappointed, man. I was so disappointed that the Emperor was, her grandfather, right? Rey's grandfather.
Go for Papa Palpatine.
I don't know.
How about that? You had to ask for clarification. That's how memorable it was.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Well, it's always a father thing, and I know Kylo Ren and Vader, that's grandfather thing. I don't know, again, isn't that a carbon copy? Like, Darth Vader is the grandfather of Kylo, but you know what? Let's make Sidious, Palpatine, the grandfather of Rey. That's almost like a carbon copy within a carbon copy of the same trilogy.
Yep.
The more I talk about this, it's hitting more of a.
This is the problem, JT. It falls apart the more you think of it.
Huh?
I gotta go D-. I gotta go D-.
Ooh.
With this, and to backtrack, episode 8, they should have killed Princess Leia in episode 8. Carrie's ghost is saying, "So I die, and I'm in this Star Wars movie." What do? They keep me alive. You know why? Because they don't have to fucking pay me anymore.
They use her more in that movie than any other because it's free.
It's free. They got me for free. They finally got me for free. It's a storyline. I don't know. The thing about the story in the sequels, it's not what captivated me as a whole.
Yeah. I always kind of look at these as the Hobbit movies. Like, I love Lord of the Rings, but they do the Hobbit and they do the first 2 movies. That's all you need because that covers the books. Well, then all of a sudden, so you consider that like the original trilogy and the prequels. Well, then all of a sudden you got this Battle of the 5 Armies, which is made from a compendium or whatever. Like, you don't need that shit. You're just tacking it on. There's a cash grab, and that kind of, it's like the sequel trilogy. Like, I'm glad we got it. Don't get me wrong, but it is kind of unnecessary, and so it's kind of slapped on there. Whereas it was fine with the original 6. So I tend to, I would agree with you.
Well, you go back to Lando too. It's like Lando. Okay, Lando coming in to the trilogy in Episode 9. It's like, man, you guys really missed the fucking boat that much. You invited him back into the last movie just to get him in there.
Yeah.
Why? You know, everybody remembers the Timothy Zahn trilogy. Those guys were together in that book. And fans love that. I feel like if they were going to do the fan service treatment, they would have had Lando in with the rest of the other three, from Episode 7. Just get that out of the way, you know, and they part ways like they did in Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I think that I've always thought they didn't do that because they want the new characters to be the focus of the movies, and if you have the old characters, it's going to dominate the whole thing. No one's going to give a crap about Rey, Finn, and Poe. If you've got, you know, Leia, Han, Luke, and Lando and Chewbacca, it's like everyone's going to be like, who are these new people? Get the hell out of the way. Get the hell out of the way. Like, you know, so that's kind of, you know. All right, AJ, story for Episode 9. Should I solo you so you could do what I did with you know, here we go. Let's let AJ. Of course, you're gonna have crappy internet when we do this. Look at that! I solo him and he freezes.
No, my
there
internet sucks right now. I'll do my best. Yeah, exactly. F. Fine.
Yep.
You want to go solo? Fine. It's 9:40 by my clock right now. Give me 2 minutes.
Oh boy.
It's an F. It's a massive fucking failure. It's a double F. Okay. The Emperor was dead. Stop it. He burned the galaxy to the ground because he was dead. He didn't build 10,000 Star Destroyers in secret because he wasn't really dead. Okay? Hux was not a turncoat to the First Order. Rey was not her friggin' granddaughter. It's ridiculous. You're making connections where none exist. You're making nonsense plot threads that never existed before. You're basically inventing a backstory while you're trying to pay it off. At the culmination of the greatest film franchise in history, what the hell is that shit? It's just terrible. It's terrible from start to finish. They, instead of picking up where 8 left off, they tried to ignore as much of it as they could and try to pick up where 7 left off. Except they didn't know where 7 was going because that's not the way J.J. Abrams writes stories to begin with. He just puts a bunch of questions out there and waits for somebody else to invent solutions. So yeah. Man, not the guy to write the finale to a 40-year film franchise.
You drove Chris to go get more beer. Look at that. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I can't give it an F. I would give it a C. It's middle of the road to me. Because I like the fan service. I know that's probably cheesy or stupid or whatever, but one of the things I like the most about Episode 9 is that I like the fan service. Go ahead.
Solo is a movie for fan service, not the culmination of the original storyline.
All right. I mean, they had already screwed it up by not writing one cohesive story. So if all they're going to do is like poke me, there's go, remember this for the last movie. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like it. You know, and besides they owed me after, you know, remaking one of the movies as, you know, doing Episode 7 as a remake of Episode 4, they owed me. So, you know, I basically, you know, bring Chris back in after he's done on his beer break there. So no problem. Yeah, I like the fan service, but the overall story, like bringing back Palpatine, was just absolutely. I will never forget being in the panel for Episode 9 at Celebration in Chicago, and they showed the trailer, and you know you hear the Emperor at the end, and the whole place loses its mind, and I screamed too. But my next immediate thought was, there is no way to do this without it being clunky and unnecessary, and I'll bet you when this movie comes out, fans are going to crap all over it. Sure enough, movie comes out, fans crap all over it.
See, I had faith, though, because I was right there with you for that, and I thought, oh my God, what have I missed in these movies that was painting this picture the whole time? The answer is nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and everybody was saying, man, if they do cloning, that's going to be so dumb. Well, guess what they did? They did cloning. Like, so.
And as much as I like the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian and all the cloning stuff in there, it all seems like an apologist movement to try to justify Episode 9.
No, but I mean, I think that stuff came before. I mean, Sean says, "Big old bowl of member berries." Yeah, it's true. I wouldn't agree with that because, first of all, the cloning thing came before Episode 9. Like, you got Clone Wars and everything, and the Clone Wars has been in canon forever. I just think there was no good way to bring the Emperor back into the story, and I don't think the Emperor was needed. I think J.J. Abrams crapped his pants when Rian Johnson killed off Snoke, and J.J. Abrams couldn't find out a way to make a big bad guy or to make Kylo Ren the ultimate bad guy and have it not be too Vader-esque or Palpatine-esque. He didn't have a way to do it, so he just got lazy and brought back the Emperor and said, cloning. So
I want to make one observation on Snoke, and based on the observation I made when they showed Sidious in Episode 1, the music, and they used the Emperor's theme for Snoke. Wow. But it was so not obvious that I was like, yeah, Snoke is tied to the Emperor somehow, which he was, but I did not see that coming. And I don't
think John Williams knew that either.
I think it was a gaffe on on Disney's part, just going, we're going to recycle some music here,
John Williams comes up with something original, like, no, use the Emperor theme.
Right.
Put that in there. Bob Iger's
clearly John Williams knows what he's doing. I mean, he wrote Rey's theme to interact with Luke's theme.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right. So I've got a C for the story. All right, here we go. Our final grades. So they've done their homework. They've done their book reports. We've had midterms and everything. It's now time to give a final grade for the movies. Chris, you are up first. What is your final grade for Episode 7?
Final grade for Episode 7. None of my final grades are going to jive with any of my grades that I already put down. Like we've already discovered that. I would say Episode 7, B minus. B minus.
Okay.
I was just happy to see another Star Wars movie. I was happy to see Harrison carry and a smidgen of Mark.
Yeah.
At the end. But just to get a new Star Wars movie when we were told by Lucas himself, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then, of course, Rick McCallum in Celebration London, 2007, he goes, at the rate George is spending money, you're going to see a 7, 8, 9. And then all of a sudden it was like, bam, 7, 8, 9. I do feel like the time waiting for it, though, was announced very quickly and it was delivered very quickly. It was a very, very, very different experience waiting many, many, many moons for the prequels, because that was talked about for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
As well as 7, 8, 9 were, originally. But Lucas kind of said, you know what? It's not going to be me. We had no idea that he was going to sell the franchise. And to see new Star Wars movies, I still give it a B minus, man. Still give it a B minus.
So your final grades are acting B+, characters B-, story B-, overall B- for Episode 7.
Okay, so not too crazy.
No, not at all. All right, AJ, your final overall grade for Episode 7.
C+.
Okay.
I like it a little bit less than Chris, because when I think about it as a whole, it's manufactured. It's not an artistic statement like a George Lucas movie. But it's okay. It's pretty good manufactured movie. Okay. So it can't really rise above average when its sole reason for existing is because a studio wanted to make money, not because a director had a creative vision that he wanted to share.
Yeah.
But it's good for what it is. and it was
Okay.
necessary.
Okay. Your final grades: acting B, character C, story C minus, overall C plus for episode 7. All right.
I like how we're actually arriving at the right grades based on what we break it down to.
Well,
That's
I mean,
kinda
so
surprising,
far,
actually.
yeah. My overall grade for episode 7 is a D. I keep waiting for the movie to change, to grow on me. And I've rewatched it a bunch, and I still come away with it with the same feeling I always did. It's just after that first 45 minutes, which is amazing, I'm just like, I've seen this before. And everyone says, oh, it felt like Star Wars. No, it didn't to me. It felt like someone trying to do Star Wars. It didn't feel like Star Wars. It felt like somebody else doing Star Wars. And it's the only one that feels like that to me. Even though J.J. Abrams also did episode 9, that felt like Star Wars to me. Episode 8 really felt like Star Wars to me. Episode 7 felt like, I went to see Van Halen, but instead I saw a tribute band. Do I like the songs? Yeah. But when I'm there to see Eddie Van Halen and not Joe Fabitz, there you go. So yeah. So I had acting as a B, characters were a D, story was an F, overall was a D.
Okay.
So
that's a line. That's a line.
Yeah. All right, Chris, episode 8, your overall grade.
I'm going to throw everybody off on this one. Overall grade, I got to go. God, I want to say A minus.
Okay.
But I'm going to say B plus.
Okay.
I'm going to say B plus. Again, what really, I love Han Solo, but Luke has always been the character that I've related to, especially on this journey with losing my dad at the age of 7 and rediscovering that movie. And, when I was 17 years old and just going, God, man, Luke is on this quest to find out who his father is. And, and we know how that went and the whole redemption story. So to see Luke go through, again, what you said earlier, get a little more cynical, have these ups and downs, be a different person. When you say episode 8, I don't think of Laura Dern. I don't think of Rose Tico. I think of Luke Skywalker, live in the flesh.
Yep.
And I think of him telling Leia, no one's ever really gone. And Carrie Fisher was passed away. I mean, that is like one of the most profound things that any character has said in all 9 movies to me because of Carrie's passing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think just Mark Hamill alone to see, even though I said his acting was a little rusty, to still see him, I gotta go B plus plus.
Okay.
Man, it was really, and of course Yoda, seeing Yoda again, was great, and so many great moments that well overrode the negative or the bad moments of that movie.
Yeah. Can I ask one quick question about Yoda? Why is it they literally use the original puppet as like a cast for that, and yet Yoda looked wonky in episode 8? I was like, what? That doesn't look right.
It's got lighting.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, that doesn't look right. And then I found out later, they used the exact puppet from episode 5. And I was like, well, how did it come out not looking like the episode 5 one then? It looked like a cross between episode 5 and episode 1 puppet in a way. There's like some aspects of the episode 1 puppet in there. I was like, I didn't care because I was like, holy shit, it's Yoda. But like, I've always wondered that.
Which is kind of funny too, because George Lucas changed the puppet from episode 1 and put the digital one in there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like George used the puppet in episode 1, not in episode 2 or 3. And then for some reason in episode 8, they're like, hey, let's go back to the puppet look.
I know.
It's like, no, we're trying to get away from the puppet look. We're trying to have him change through technology through the years and then kind of, re-enhance.
Yep.
Yeah, you do a whole episode on Yoda, man.
I know.
Oh, well.
Look, that's like, that doesn't necessarily look like the episode 5 Yoda.
That looks like a bad PS3. That's,
Yeah, I mean, isn't
right?
it,
Like,
isn't it?
is that from Force Unleashed? I mean,
Well, I mean, okay, so there's okay. So there's your episode 8 Yoda. All right, and now let's do the episode 5 Yoda. I mean, it doesn't look the same. Am I wrong?
It looks a little like in the mouth. It looks the same, but
Yeah.
definitely not the eyes. Definitely not the eyes.
Yeah,
not
it's
the
just
eyes
so-
and the color treatment.
And
Like, he's
color-
way more green, way more bright green in episode 8. Yeah.
Well, I guess
Apparently,
in
death
episode
suits
8
him.
too,
He's well rested.
In episode 8, he's the Force
yeah.
Yoda, where here
Yeah.
he's not. But God,
Yeah.
you put that on. I think Frank Oz. I think the Muppets. I'm 5 years old again when I see that Yoda.
Yep. I know. Like, I mean, and it looked great. He looked great in episode 8. It was just, it just wasn't exactly like episode 5, which surprised me because they used that as the basis. So,
Yeah, but
the-
what a
the
raw
exact
friggin'
mold-
deal, right? Like, Anakin gets to go back to his pre-burned self when he dies, but Obi-Wan's Force Ghost and Yoda's Force Ghost are all their old, decrepit selves. Like,
They got screwed.
damn.
They got screwed.
I was
Luck
already
of the draw.
900 years old when I died, and now I got to be 900 when I'm already dead? Come on
Yeah.
now.
He hit a,
It's going to be like 450 or 500.
yeah, 927 or whatever. Yeah. All right, so Chris. All right, so overall you went acting B minus, characters C minus, story B plus, overall B plus for episode 8.
Okay, so that's not too crazy then.
No, not at all. All right, AJ, overall grade for episode 8.
I'm going to knock it down to a B plus.
Wow, okay.
Because I love it. It's my favorite of the 3 easily. But my main criticism is it doesn't play nice in the sandbox. I don't know where you pick up to start episode 9 with the way episode 8 ends. That was almost a great finale for the franchise right there. And also it was just such a
open-ended.
stylistic shift that like you said, like some of the stuff didn't really come off right. Like the Buster Keaton jokes with BB-8 patching the holes with, all the sparks flying and stuff. And then the your mom joke basically from Poe to
Yeah.
Hux. Like,
That
so
opens the movie.
there were some wonky bits.
Yeah,
but
really.
It was a great movie on its own. But then you're like, okay, compare this Star Wars movie to the other 7 movies. Like, wow, that's really not the same kind of movie, is it? So it gets downvoted for that. But overall, on its own, it's the best by far. I would give it an A, but I got to knock it down for not being a good companion to the other 8 movies in the franchise.
Okay. You had acting as a B, characters are a B plus, story is an A plus, and overall is a B plus. So yeah, it's it's pretty much sums it up. There's going to be absolutely no surprises here for me. It is an A plus. I love it. Well, I mean, my look, acting A plus, characters A plus, story A plus, overall A plus. I love this movie. I absolutely love it.
You really don't have a problem with the tonal shift.
No, I thought it was great, and I've used this term before, but to me, it's the most Lucas-esque thing that they could do. George Lucas always wanted to take a chance. That was the whole thing of Star Wars. He's going to take a chance whether you like it or not. And this movie had that that George Lucas spirit of taking a chance. Rian Johnson is like, he was handed the keys to something. It was very difficult because, again, you come off of episode 7, which basically just rehashed episode 4. So you're like, okay, now the fans are expecting more of the same because that's what they got in episode 7. He's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something different with Star Wars while still making it feel like Star Wars. And it feels like Star Wars to me, because the characters are there, but it actually was adventurous. It took a chance. It did something different that we had never seen before. And there was a lot of emotion to it. To me, it was really weird because it was a very personal movie. Everything felt smaller. But it was so emotional because it was so tightly focused in on the characters. I loved it. The fact you're completely right. It does not fit tonally with the other films. But for that, I loved it because it's different. It's the same reason why I have a soft spot in my heart for Episode 2, because it's the only movie like it in the whole Star Wars franchise. Instead of it just being like a straight bang, 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 like space adventure movie, it's like a whodunit. It's like a mystery movie. I thought that was cool. I loved it. Just something different. So, yeah, A+ is across the board for me for Episode 8. I love it. I will die on that hill forever. Mark Thrasher, too bad he's not listening, but I'm going to get his ass at Celebration. We're going to hash it out. We're going to get hammered, and I'm going to really let him know what I think about his crap-ass opinions about Episode 8. So,
well, you know what? I think if you look at all the trilogies, right? I feel like Empire feels nothing like A New Hope, and Jedi feels like all those movies, like Attack of the Clones to Episode 1, Revenge of the Sith. I feel like the formula that they had with 7, 8, and 9. I feel like 8 felt more in line with 7 than Attack of the Clones did with Episode 1 or Empire did with A New Hope.
right.
You know,
I could see that. I could totally see that.
So different, you know.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
On its own. And one more comment about Episode 8 too is I remember
Sure.
I took my wife to see it in the theater, and she fucking loved it. And she's not a Star Wars freak like me.
Mhm.
She's a fan, casual fan, you know. But the fact that I was sitting next to her when she first saw it, this was opening day, not the night before, but the next day, my second viewing, and she was so excited to see this movie. I was like, well, that kind of fueled me a little bit. I'm like, wow, it's cool to have a casual fan really geek out about a Star Wars movie, because sometimes when I see it with you guys, we take it for granted, right? You see it with your own blood, you know, your own fellow Star Wars freaks. It's like, well, yeah, everybody's got an opinion at the movie. Let's go out for beers and talk about this. But
Yep.
the fact that my wife was so excited about seeing Episode 8, you know, and had no complaints after it, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this movie more just because of your opinion on it alone.
Yeah. Right. Well,
And
it's like,
that was an early day. I mean, that was the second viewing in 24 hours that I had. And then she saw it again. It's the only Star Wars movie that she saw twice in the theater. So, and she loved it just as much the second time, you know?
nice. Yeah. Hey, I've always said like my favorite Star Wars movie is Episode 3, but I have a very strong personal like connection to it just because it was, you know, my brother and I, AJ, and it was, you know, we had seen, you know, the prequels in the theaters or Episode 1 and 2 in the theater. We saw it together, but not opening night. Same thing with Return of the Jedi in '83. But we did the whole blowout for Episode 3. Like, you know, we were there hours early, and we, you know, it was like this big thing that we were looking forward to it for 3 years, and just the lead up to it. We were smack dab in the middle of the theater with the most perfect seats. You know, we got there, like we were so lucky to get those seats. And so yeah, sometimes emotional attachment actually plays a role in that. So
Absolutely.
I don't doubt it. So, all right, Episode 9, Chris, your final grade.
Final grade on this one, it's going to be a C-. I think out of all the Star Wars cinematic releases, I gotta say I like Attack of the Clones more than Episode 9. You know, so yeah, C-, and I feel like that's being a little generous with it overall.
Wow.
And to tell you the truth, I don't feel like it's the most memorable for me. I feel like the most memorable film for me was Episode 8.
Okay.
And then Episode 7, because I saw it with my brother Bo, the late, great Bo Glazer.
Yep.
And that was kind of the first of the first, right? It's like, okay, new Star Wars is coming back. How can you forget about Episode 7, just seeing a new Star Wars movie? Yeah, Episode 9, C-, and I feel like I'm being generous.
Okay. All right. Well, across the board, you had acting as a C+, characters were a B-, the story was a D-. So C-, kind of, if you average it out, it's pretty.
Okay.
That's not too far fetched.
Okay, I'm not crazy. Yeah. That's good enough.
All right, AJ. I feel like I know where this is going, but your overall grade for Episode 9.
I'll take D is for disappointment for 200, please, Alex.
That's exactly what I was going to guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it an outright F. I want to very badly, but there are enough parts, and I did enjoy it the first time through enough that it's not going to fail. But
Okay.
man, it's just, you talk about like rewatching Attack of the Clones, Chris, and what's your gut feeling when you think I'm going to watch Attack of the Clones? What's your initial reaction when you have that thought?
This movie is not as bad as I think it is.
Okay. I think of like, I should rewatch Rise of Skywalker, and then I go, really? Don't I have anything better to do? I don't look forward to watching it. Like, it's the one movie you could put on any Star Wars movie except for that one. I'll be like, cool, let me sit down and see what I can pull from this. That one, I'm just like, I think I pulled everything I want to. I don't have any interest in revisiting it at this point. It's just,
Okay.
and so much of the stuff that's coming out since then is trying to tie into it. Like, it's trying to redeem it. It's like the studio even knows that it shit the bed.
You know,
So-
I will say that the best thing about episode 9 is Babu Frick, and the actress that plays Zori Bliss. She does have some very sexy bedroom eyes.
Kerry Russell. Yep.
And you
Kerry
never
Russell,
see
yeah.
her face. You always see the
Yeah.
like that. That's what I think of when I think of episode 9. Babu Frick and Zori Bliss's eyes. It's like, what did they tell you about them?
Yeah.
Droid is ready. Oh my God. All right. So my overall grade, to bring this whole report card thing to a close, I'm going with a B for episode 9. To me, it's just a fun movie. I mean, it's got a ton of flaws. I will admit. I will never be a fan of, we're going to have like a horse race on a Star Destroyer. That I was kind of like, dude, that kind of sucks. But it was, every time I rewatch it, I'm aware of what's wrong with it, and yet I find myself just like, yeah, this is fun. This is a cool movie. Like, it's like a popcorn flick, and I dug it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm into this. Like, I keep trying to do what you're doing, AJ, and like, I really should like be more. I should scrutinize this a little more, and I can't find it in me myself to do it. It's like, I'm fine with it. So mine went, acting was a B, characters was a B, story was a C, and overall was a B. So I think we all did pretty good on this. Like we said, like when we got to our final, it actually worked out. It wasn't like, acting was a B, and story was a B plus, and I really thought that it was, the story overall was a C, or excuse me, was an A. Yeah, I think overall I'm going to give it a D minus. So I think we all actually made sense. So I thought that was, that was, we all made sense. So that was,
All right,
that's
bonus
good.
question to wrap this up then. Overall grade for the sequel trilogy. Chris, what do you think?
Oh, wow.
Overall grade for the sequel trilogy. Well, I don't know if I can do that, but I can tell you that it's got to be, original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy, and see now we start like, okay, who's in front of who?
Yeah.
What movie's better than this movie from this group of movies that we love, and what I don't know. All I could say is that I want to make a third Star Wars documentary, and it was going to originally be about the filming locations, but I feel like Star Wars is too more important to the fans than just throw them a documentary about Star Wars filming locations. And I really want to focus on my relationship with my daughter based around Star Wars. And she's not crazy about Star Wars. It's just always been a part of her life. But I feel like I want to do you remember the Headbanger's Journey, the documentary Headbanger's Journey?
Mm-hmm.
So it was about like the filmmaker going, well, why are people burning down churches? Why is this? Why is that over music? I almost feel like there is an element of Star Wars fandom that when the sequel trilogy was released, the Red Sea parted. Fandom parted. Everybody went their own way. And I would like to really dive into that and find out what it is about these sequel movies that really set people off. And, oh, Dave, I was robbed of my childhood. This movie sucked. That kind of stuff. I feel like I'm more intrigued with that than anything. Just getting a new Star Wars movie in general, let alone a trilogy. I mean, God, we should be grateful. We should be thankful that it happened because we don't know what's going to happen next. And I have a feeling what's going to happen next is really going to piss the fan base off. Okay. After I talk that through, overall, I give it a B+. A B+.
All right. Not too
I
shabby.
I had to think it through.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, you had B-, B+, and C-. So B+ is close to there. That's pretty close.
I was very, very, very overall I was pleased, but I would rather go watch Rogue One for the 100th time.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
Yep. Sean, our buddy Sean says
he's just secured another visit on our show. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. So Sean says either a C- or a D+. So that's hard. I could see why fans would feel that way. AJ, where do you stand? What's your overall?
I'm going to go right down the middle. I'm going to call it C for average.
Okay.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I'm glad we got it. I don't think it was up to the standard of the 6 that preceded it, but we got so much other great Star Wars as a result of these movies existing that I can't really shit on it too hard.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Man.
Very true.
This is a hard one.
Amen to Sean.
Yeah, right. So I gave episode 7 a D, episode 8 an A+, and episode 9 a B. I'm trying to think about this in school terms. I would say I'm gonna go with a B, because in school, if I was to get a B, I'd be like, yeah, it's pretty good. And I think overall that's my feeling, because I would say that episode 9, yeah, pretty good. Episode 7, and episode 8 was amazing. So I would say if you take those and balance them, I think it's a B. It was fun. I mean, I will say again, I don't think it was necessary. I think the writing, they needed to have one cohesive story and chop it into 3 pieces instead of just this make it up as you go crap. But that being said, it was fun. So it was cool, and like you said, Chris, it was like we should be grateful that we got it. I mean, we have, and to both your, I think both your guys' points tie in beautifully together, because like you said, Chris, we should be thankful for it, and AJ, you said we got all these other Star Wars stories because of it, and I think those two thoughts go hand in hand. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't have all this other stuff. So it was like the renaissance of Star Wars, and it rekindled this love that we all have for it. And it gave us an opportunity to bring new fans into it, which then gives us The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch and Visions and all these things that are coming after, Rogue Squadron. We're going to get, next year or the year after, who knows at this point. But so, great point. We should be grateful that we got it. And, so I'm going with a B. So real quick before we jump off, Chris, you did mention your Star Wars documentaries, so we would be remiss if we did not bring up, what is it, the 15th anniversary now of The Force Among Us?
15 years,
15
wow.
from when we started shooting.
Okay.
14 on the release date. But I'm a big anniversary guy. I love, and I love, the thing about baseball is, hey, this happened on this date many, many years ago, So we are doing Mocktails from the Cantina live this Friday. I am having a one-on-one deep dive into the behind the scenes on the film that was released many moons ago that is on Amazon. It was on Amazon Prime, but it's only on Amazon now. And something that I'm not very proud of. If I had to grade this documentary, I would probably grade it a C+ personally. But you know what? I'm going to save it for Mocktails from the Cantina live this Friday at 8 p.m. Central. Check it out on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the channel because then every time we do a show, John, you were just on the show last week.
Yep.
You get a plethora of content. I feel like I'm just still oozing with new, fresh content after being a Star Wars fan since I was 2 years old. My brain is still firing on all cylinders. There's a lot of stories to tell, and we're going to tell a lot of stories about the Force Among Us this Friday.
Yeah, I've got my copy. I got it autographed, so I own Force Among Us. I like it. It's cool, man. What's really funny to me was that I rewatched it, and I realized I was like, holy crap, that's Alfie and Sean and whatnot in there. Like it was cool. So the guys from real fans of the saga were in there, which was cool. Yeah, I would highly recommend people go check it out. This is the 30-year celebration edition. So that's a good thing. I remember I got it. You had a booth. I'm almost positive I got it. You were at a booth and you signed it for me. So, look at Sean. Look at Sean. Let me know when you want me to sign that for you. Look at this. Like he's a movie star now. You're gonna crap all over episode 8 and then think I'm gonna ask for your autograph? What kind of backwards ass shit is that, Sean? That's fantastic.
The first autograph in history where the guy doing the signing pays you.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just gonna buy. I'm gonna buy like a fake copy of it, Chris. And I'm just gonna hand it to Sean. He's gonna sign it. I'm look him dead in the eye and just do a Luke and just chuck it and walk away, like Luke with the lightsaber. Like there you go. And then he can pick it up and hand it back to me and go, a Cris Macht documentary deserves more respect than that.
I like it.
So yeah, so definitely I would, like I said, I was on the show a couple weeks ago. We had a total blast. Yeah, if you guys have not checked it out yet, make sure you go check out his show, Machtails From the Cantina. And if you have a few bucks to spare, sign up as a Patreon subscriber. I myself am a Patreon subscriber. My cat is messing with my camera. Bubba, stop that. Yeah, go sign up to be a Patreon subscriber. Chris, I'm not telling tales out of school. It's got to be like 4 or 5 times a week you're sending out an email to the Patreon guys like, hey, new video.
Yes, yes.
There is constant stuff.
I never get anybody complaining about the content that you guys are paying for. If anything, I'm getting a complaint like, hey, I can't keep up with all this content. So it's, the thing about Patreon, the thing about my love for Star Wars, the thing about the relationships that I've built because of this franchise, it's been all celebrated on my Patreon page. And you guys can, if you're too cheap to afford $2 a month for 4 podcast episodes a month, that they go to YouTube and you get all the Mocktails From the Cantina shows for free. The live shows are free. The episodes are free. We just had Steven Sansweet on a couple episodes. The last episode was Steve Sansweet. So it's been a lot of fun, man. And I look forward to meeting new people and, of course, getting new Patreon members as well.
Yes, of course. And be remiss without saying thank you again for coming on yet another time.
Me, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me on your show a couple weeks ago, and can't wait to hook up at Celebration next year. Let's hope this COVID thing is at least good enough to where we could still meet up. I bought my plane ticket to LA yesterday, so I'm officially going there. I haven't bought my plane ticket back yet, but I got to coordinate schedules with people I'll be flying back with. So,
wait a minute. You bought your plane ticket for LA for May next year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that they were selling airfare out that far.
Yep, American Airlines. I was the only person buying that flight, so I got prime selection of my seat. So I'm in seat 1A, which is beautiful.
Nice.
So yeah, I will be flying out at 8:10 a.m. and I'll be getting I have a layover in Dallas, and then I'll be getting to LA at 1:10 p.m. and I'm going to wait 17 hours in line for a rental car. That's a joke from last time. But AJ is going to already be out there with my wife and my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law, excuse me. They're going to pick me up, and we're going to hit the Sunset Strip, and we're going to stay at a hotel on the Sunset Strip that Monday night, and then drive to Anaheim the next day and get into Star Wars mode, check into our Celebration Hotel, and off we go. So,
Nice.
if you're flying out early and you want to crash in LA on the Sunset Strip on Monday, you have a place to stay, man. Just be like, hey, I'm coming. Be like, all right, cool. Here's our room number. Here's the hotel. We're going to go to the Whiskey. We're going to go to the Roxy. We're going to the Viper Room. We're going to eat at the Rainbow.
You got to hit all those legendary music venues up, man.
Yeah, we're gonna do it, man. I already looked up the schedule for the Whiskey, and it literally stops like a couple weeks before we're going out there. So I don't know what shows if there's gonna be a show that Monday, but we'll find out. So yeah, man. So thank you very much for coming on, Cris. Again, guys, check out Machtails from the Cantina. Sign up to be a Patreon member. You will not regret it. I myself am 1138 member. So I chat with Cris once a month on that, and I get all kinds of crazy content, so make sure you go check that show out. It is absolutely fantastic. Thanks for hanging out again for another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hey, as I said before, we're brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. You can find us pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, all those good places. Video replays are available on our YouTube channel, and we are here live every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook and YouTube pages. So come hang out with us, jump in the chat as our buddy Sean did, Craig, Weaver, and all you fine people. Thanks for hanging out. So once again, I am your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
And that is our buddy Cris Macht. Cris, where can they find you?
YouTube, Machtails from the Cantina is under Christian Macht, Christian without the H. CRISTIAN, Macht. You can also check us out on Facebook under Machtails from the Cantina.
Awesome. All right, guys, we will catch you next time.